So in this project, we're going to show you a way to actually have your iPad during a Zoom call also show on your Vivitek board as well. So there's a couple of things that you're going to need. First, you're going to need your teacher MacBook. Second thing you're going to need is the little white dongle that was provided to you when you received your teacher MacBook. This is the dongle itself, and if you'll notice it actually has 3 connectors on it. And you'll know it's the correct dongle because the middle port is an HDMI port. What you'll do first is you're going to go and plug in the dongle to the left side of your teacher Mac.
Like so.
Like so. Next, coming out of the side of your Vivitek board is going to be a much fancier version of these 3 cables. In fact, I believe yours, if you have one of the new Vivitek boards, they're in kind of a black, kind of like a cord cover. One that we're looking for is your HDMI cable. Yours is actually black. We have a white one, but yours is actually black. And what you'll notice is it matches to the middle port on your dongle. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip this over and plug it in. And if you'll notice on your Vivitek board, it should auto switch over to the correct HDMI port, and you'll see your Mac screen.
If your MacBook doesn't show for some reason, you'll probably need to switch the input source. So on our Vivitek board, we have a little button. The older boards that we have in the district do have those buttons, and that would allow us to change the HDMI input. Most of the newer Vivitek boards, to get to this screen, you're just going to tap on the side, and you'll have an extra little round circle. It's towards the very bottom of the tab, and you'll probably choose HDMI 3. If that one doesn't work, I always play roulette. So my next step is going to be to start my Zoom call. I'm going to go down to my desktop app, and I'm going to click on Join Meeting. And you'll notice that I'm just going to join my Zoom regularly. I have my audio on, I've got my video, everything's good. So next, because I want to make sure that all of my kids, whether they're face-to-face or on my Zoom, I want them to be able to see me doing my read aloud. And so I'm going to kind of set it up to where I share my screen, and they're going to be able to see my read aloud just like it was a document camera. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to share screen on my Zoom. And the option that I'm going to select is actually the iPhone, iPad via Airplay selection. The best thing about this is that I'm going to make my iPad screen show up on my MacBook. And because my MacBook is hooked up into my Vivitek board, we're going to see my iPad on the big screen. So I'm going to go ahead and select iPhone, iPad via Airplay. And then I'm going to select Share.
If you notice once she's done share, there's going to be directions that I now have to complete on my iPad. So if you notice, the first thing it says to do is make sure I'm on CISD wireless, and I can swipe down from the upper right, and I'm on CISD wireless. And then it says for me to choose screen mirroring. So I'm going to press screen mirroring 1 time. And if you notice in step 3, it tells me to look for a particular zoom. The zoom, and it's it'll have some words, and it has numbers at the end, and I need to make sure I find the exact same one in the screen mirroring. So I'm going to select that 1 time. It takes a few seconds. And if you notice now, I'm actually airplaying from my iPad directly to my MacBook. So in this case now, everything I do on my iPad, including using the camera, will in fact show up on my MacBook, which is running the Zoom. I'm going to swipe down a little bit, and I'm actually going to choose my screen lock. So that's a picture of a padlock. So now that my screen is locked, if you notice, it doesn't rotate on the Zoom, even though I'm rotating it here. So my almost my last step is I'm going to open up the camera. I'm going to make sure that it's set to photo over on the right. Again, we don't have a fancy just stand, we have this box, but I'm going to set my iPad and position it accordingly. Sometimes you also have to click to focus a little bit, that way you get a little bit better focus. And then now I can actually read along to my learners. My learners will see my finger, They will see me turning the page. They will see me pointing out different elements inside of the book, but they can also hear my voice as well. And again, because you have a Just Stand, you have more flexibility than we have here with the back. But again, it's nice because your learners will see not only your finger if you're tracking the words, but they will hear your voice.
Because your MacBook is picking up your voice on the microphone. For your home learners, they'll be able to hear you. And because you're reading out loud, for your face-to-face kids, they'll hear you projecting your voice. So if you want to create a sense of community, you want to make sure your kids are in person or watching on the Vivitek board, and you want to make sure that your learners at home can see your Read Aloud, this is one way to get that to happen.
Using your Just Stand, you can play around a little bit with your iPad to see if you like it better in portrait or landscape mode. Also, the green border around the share screen can be stretched so that you can have a bigger and better view.
Reach out to us if you need any help.